I broke up with my boyfriend yesterday. Unfortunately, he couldn't see how certain things were affecting me and our relationship, like his close friendship with a female coworker and the fact that his ex-wife, who has no kids, was still texting him. He never set clear boundaries with either of them. He frequently called and texted that female friend, sharing life updates, selfies, and even flirty texts. She was someone he had been attracted to in the past, and the timing was just never right for them. I was in a long-distance relationship with him, and both of these women lived in the same state as him. I tried explaining how uncomfortable, unsafe, and insecure his behavior made me feel. I set boundaries, but he saw them as rules and dismissed my feelings. He was resentful of my wishes, defensive of his actions, and rarely transparent about these relationships. I often had to discover things on my own, which he initially denied before admitting to later. There were always conflicting answers when confronted. His actions made me feel like he wasn't prioritizing our relationship and enjoyed the attention from other women. We ran in circles for 4 months, never resolving the issue. He brushed it off, called me names, and downplayed things, so I never felt secure, heard, or validated. Yesterday, I reached the point of exhaustion. I had been asking for transparency, honesty, and compromise, but he only shifted the blame onto me and defended himself. It felt like he cared more about winning the argument than fighting for the relationship and moving forward. Mentally and emotionally drained, I made the sudden decision to end things. I'm sad, mad, confused, and hurt. Even in our last messages, he cared only about being right and blamed me for everything. I know healing will take time and come in waves. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, but I couldn't handle his behavior any longer, or his refusal to admit how his actions made me feel. I even tried to explain that while we may never see eye to eye on this issue, we could at least try to listen to each other, but he couldn't do that for me. I'm in my early 30s, and I thought he was the one. I imagined us building a family together, but now it's over. He can continue his life with his friend and ex as if nothing happened, while I'm left here picking up the pieces. It's heartbreaking. I know boundaries are personal, and each person has different comfort levels. But is it too much for me to ask for transparency and honesty? Any advice on dealing with this? Now for an update. He has sent me a bunch of texts today and even tried to call, but I didn't respond. None of his messages addressed the core issues. They were all about his desire for physical intimacy and frustration about the distance. He even sent photos of his day as if nothing had happened. The worst part? He sent an inappropriate picture and said he couldn't stop thinking about me. Like, what was he thinking? Shouldn't he be reflecting on why I left him or why our relationship fell apart? Instead, he's focused on these inappropriate thoughts. It really drives home what one of the commenters said about me being objectified or just fulfilling a fantasy for him. It's maddening. To add, by the way, the very first time I found out about everything regarding my ex and those females was when I checked his phone. I know it was a breach of privacy to some people, but I also know that if someone has nothing to hide, that wouldn't be a big deal. I trusted my gut and saw the things that he had been hiding from me for many months. He flipped out when that happened, and I have apologized for that incident many times. But since then, every single time I would bring up my own concerns or set boundaries, he would always come back to that, shift the blame onto me, and never address my concerns, then tell me it's always been my fault. He believed everything started when I checked his phone and not actually when he hid things from me, lied to my face, and omitted a lot of details in his stories to avoid conflicts and protect his ego. If I didn't trust my gut that night, I checked his phone, I would have been kept in the dark until now. To him, he did nothing wrong, and would always tell me he would tell me everything only if I asked. But that's not what full transparency is. Full transparency is sharing without the other person asking, without prompting. And after that incident, I did what he said and asked whenever I wanted to know something. But instead of answering me as he said he would get very defensive and angry and blame me again. Also, isn't it ironic that he'd accuse me of living in the past when all of my concerns about these two women are happening in the present? And he's the one who can't let go of these women from his past? He even told me I'm obsessed with his friendships and past relationships. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You saved yourself by cutting him off. It sounds to me that he is disrespectful by not even trying to understand your feelings or your boundaries. He sounds self-centered, and unfortunately, it sounds like those other relationships were his priority. I have also experienced a similar exhausting situation with an ex, and he told his friends that I was toxic, strict, or constraining him. That was what he got out of the countless times I tried to explain to him how he made me feel. Yes, he didn't care about my feelings. Time to move on. Comment 2. You did the right thing. If your relationship leaves you feeling unsure, off balance, lonely, unhappy, then what is the point? Romantic relationships are a bonus, to add value, not an obligation to suffer through. Don't accept things that make you uncomfortable because you like someone. You can like someone else who makes you feel secure. Now for the update. 2 days after the breakup, my ex texts me. He's all, "Can we meet to talk things over?" I'm like, really? What is there to talk about at this point? Like, did you not get the memo that I already booked a one-way ticket to being single? I politely decline, mostly because I don't have the energy to deal with whatever nonsense he's about to throw at me. I'm pretty sure I've heard every excuse already, and I'm just not in the mood for a repeat. I spend the day with my sister, who really deserves a medal for putting up with my whining and binge-eating ice cream. She basically drags me out of my PJs and into the real world, telling me that I need to focus on myself and not on the distractions that are probably coming my way, like some surprise party for me or whatever. My ex just won't take the hint. He keeps texting me about how much he misses me and how things could be different. Yeah, they could be. But he chose not to make them different, didn't he? My sister suggests we go out for lunch at this local diner, you know, the kind that serves greasy food that'll clog your arteries but make you feel better. It's just what I need to take my mind off things. While we're at the diner, I overhear this couple at the next booth talking about a party for friends. They're all excited and stuff, and it kind of gets me thinking. Like, maybe I should socialize again, even though I feel like I just crawled out from under a rock. So, I decide to host a small gathering at my place. Just a few close friends, nothing too crazy. I send out some invites and plan a casual dinner for the weekend. I mean, I have to get my social life back on track, even if I don't feel like it. The day of the gathering arrives. I wake up and set up my living room. It looks cute, and I prepare some snacks and drinks. I'm ready to reconnect with my friends after the whole breakup mess. During dinner, one of my friends casually mentions that she saw my ex out with the female coworker at a bar last weekend. Wow, so classy. Just what I needed to hear while trying to enjoy my homemade pasta. As the night goes on, though, the atmosphere lightens up a bit. Everyone's sharing funny stories, and it actually lifts my spirits. I can almost forget about the emotional mess that is my life right now. After dinner, we play some games, and laughter fills the room. For a brief moment, I feel like I'm actually going to be okay. Of course, in the middle of all this, I get a text from my ex again, asking if I'm ready to talk yet again. I just ignore it because I'm not about to ruin my night with his desperate attempts at getting me to talk to him. The gathering goes on until late, and I crash on my couch, feeling a bit better. A few days later, though, I stumble upon my ex's social media. Big mistake. He's posting photos with the coworker, and they look all happy and stuff. Barf. Just what I need to see. My ex even reacts to my post, trying to stir things up with a comment saying he misses me. Like, dude, do you know what miss means? Because I don't think you do. In private messages, he tries to downplay his relationship with the coworker, but I'm not even responding anymore. I'm done with his games. 1 week later, I'm at this local event when I bump into the coworker. It's awkward, to say the least. She tries to act all friendly, but I see right through her fake smile. I keep the conversation brief and move on. Later, I hear from another friend that my ex has been complaining about me moving on too quickly. Buddy, look in the mirror. My friend tells me that he thinks I'm already over him. Well, he was right about that. I decide to sign up for a dance class. Something I always wanted to do but never had the chance because I was busy dealing with my ex's nonsense. At my first class, I meet new people, and it feels good to enjoy something without any reminders of my past. Just me and some other random people trying not to step on each other's toes. My ex keeps trying to reach out, but honestly, his attempts just seem desperate now. During a family gathering, my relatives express concern about my ex but support my decision to move forward. I appreciate the concern, but I'm so over talking about him. Finally, I get a message from my ex, trying to bring up some shared memory. Like, do you think that will work? I reply with a simple, "That was then," and then I block him. It's so refreshing to not have to deal with his nonsense anymore. Mini update. After a week of blissful silence, my ex couldn't resist texting again. He asked if I'd reconsider meeting up because he had something important to discuss. Important? Really? Like how he made my life a dramatic reality show? I just ignored it, focusing instead on my dance class and making new friends. One of my classmates even asked me out for coffee. It's nice to feel like I'm moving forward, one awkward dance step at a time. Am I the idiot for wanting to cut ties with my cheating partner after she got pregnant by another man? Long story short, I am a 27-year-old male who caught my partner, a 25-year-old female, cheating. She doesn't know that I know. We've been on and off for a while now. We've broken up 3 times before, with a year in between reconnecting and trying to make things work for our son. I called her out a little over a month ago after seeing a text from another guy, and was told I was insecure and that she blocked him, but yet the evidence I have shows quite the opposite. I recently lost my job and have no income, so I'm down and out and already feel like crap. I've turned to drinking almost every night due to not having a job and a hunch that my partner was cheating to numb the pain. Now that I have my proof, I've had the wind knocked out of me even more. I was already on the verge of ending it, but I can't due to our son, who is 6 years old. Now, we haven't lived together in a few years due to her place being way too small for all my stuff and her stuff, but I see my son almost daily. I'm so angry and fueled with rage, but I know I can't take it out on my son or her. I'm lost and reaching my late 20s, and nothing ever seems to go as planned. Yeah, that's life, but I'm at the stage where it's way too common, and I have no friends to turn to. The only family I have is my brother and my mother, and I can't put my stress on them. I'm divided on whether to cut all ties like my father did to me, but on the other hand, I can't do that to my son since I understand what it is like not having a dad around. I want to try to get full custody because I know he will have a better life with me, and she doesn't care for him at all. She leaves him at home all the time without contacting me or asking me. When she does ask, it's to go away for week-long holidays without us, which is fine, but 3 times within 2 months is suspicious and has made me think she's cheating, and now I have proof. I'm tired of it all. All I ever wanted was a happy family, but it goes to ruin like everything I touch. I have the burning desire to be successful and give my son everything he desires, but when I constantly fail and have this happen in my relationship, I have no idea what to do besides stop drinking and work on myself. Still, there is a huge hole in my heart that I always seem to need to fill with either substance abuse or a relationship. I know I have more deep-rooted problems from my childhood, and I've attempted to get help by seeing a therapist, but they're mostly booked out for years or tell me things I already know. I'm not expecting anyone here to give me advice. I just need to rant and get this off my chest since my partner clearly doesn't care about me and how I feel. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Thank you for putting it bluntly. I agree with you. I can't sit here and wallow in misery. It's just hard to see the light when it's always nothing but darkness. I agree that nearly $1,000 in 2 or so weeks. I've applied for more than 20 jobs, ranging from what I am qualified for to stocking shelves at my local shopping center, just a waiting game at this point in time. I have started distancing myself from her, and the final nail in the coffin will be coming once I've composed myself and am ready to face the music. Comment 2. I have no idea what the hell to do besides stop drinking and work on myself. But there is still a huge hole in my heart that I always seem to need to fill with either substance abuse or a relationship. There is only one way to fill that hole, Jesus. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but it is the truth. John 10:10 and John 4:13-14. Take a look at those. Now, for the update, I'm just going to jump right into it since I have a lot to share. A week after I posted about my ex cheating on me and having a child with someone else, I still felt lost, confused, and kind of numb. It's like I was just floating through life, you know? So I had a son, and his birthday was coming up. I still wanted to be a part of his life, even though I was dealing with all this crap. His mother decided to throw him a party at this indoor play center, and I was invited. I thought it would be a good way to distract myself for a bit, plus see my kid and be involved in his life. When I got there, I noticed his mother was acting all cheerful and friendly with the other guests, like nothing was wrong. I couldn't help but think, how can she act like that? Like, how can she just switch it off? I arrived early to help set up. I felt like I needed to do something for my son, you know? Like if I didn't help out, I don't know what I'd be doing, just sitting around feeling sorry for myself. But as I was setting up the decorations, I saw her talking to a guy I didn't recognize. He looked to be in his early 30s, dressed all stylish and whatnot. I felt sick, but I tried to shake it off. I focused on the cake and the party stuff. But man, as guests started arriving, I couldn't ignore it. I overheard her talking to this guy, and it was like they were old friends or something. I wanted to just scream, like, what the hell is she doing? But I had my son to think about. During the party, I noticed the guy was always close to her, and my son kept calling me to join in the games. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't super distracted by everything. At one point, I stepped outside for a breather. I was just getting overwhelmed, needed to clear my head. But guess what? I overheard them talking outside. I don't think they knew I was listening. He mentioned something about last weekend and their secret. I started to feel sick. I went back inside but got distracted because my son ran up to me, all excited about a new toy. He's the best distraction, honestly. I watched her for a bit. This guy leaned in and whispered something to her, and she giggled. The party went on and guests started leaving. This guy gave her a look as he left, like a lingering look. I walked over to her, and she was busy thanking everyone. I finally pulled her aside and had to ask about this guy. When I did, she just brushed it off, acting like he was no big deal, just a friend from work. I wanted to scream and shout, but I didn't. I just decided to drop it for now. Didn't want to make a scene in front of my kid. That evening, I got a text from her asking if we could talk. The next day, I was a bundle of nerves. We met at this coffee shop, and she looked all flustered when she got there. As soon as we sat down, she dropped the news. She said she was pregnant, but the father wasn't me. I felt like my world was crumbling. She said it happened during one of our breaks. She kept saying it was a mistake, like that made it better or something. I just sat there in a daze, trying to wrap my head around it all. I left the coffee shop, and it felt like I was moving in slow motion. I didn't even know what to do next. I just wanted to be the best father for my son. But how? Edit. I appreciate the support and feedback from everyone. To clarify, my ex and I have been on and off for about 7 years. We broke up multiple times. When we started dating, my son was born, and we lived together for about 4 years. After that, we separated, but always maintained a close relationship. The pregnancy is new. I know she doesn't have the best judgment, but she is a good mother to my son. I want him to be a part of this child's life too, and I hope to learn to co-parent with her. Am I the idiot for confronting my girlfriend at a party after she dismissed my birthday invitation and flirted with another guy? I am a 24-year-old man and have been dating this 25-year-old woman for 8 months. Everything seemed perfect at first. She's loving, and I've been giving my best to make her happy. But she's also quite emotionally immature, makes poor choices in friends, and sometimes makes selfish decisions. These issues have led to frequent arguments. This past weekend, she went to Paris with a friend who's caused tension between us before because she was a drug addict when my girlfriend met her, due to her way of texting my girlfriend and her tendency to create drama. Even though I was uncomfortable, I didn't stop them from hanging out. Things had been tense lately, and I texted my girlfriend saying that I loved her, but I needed her to show more effort in our relationship and respect my boundaries. She kept putting off responding to me, saying she'd get back to me later, but instead, she was posting on social media, having fun. Then, she said she was going to a nightclub with her friend and two male friends, including one she had kissed before we met, and that she couldn't talk because she had to get ready, but she could call in 30 minutes. I have no problem with this guy. I met him, and she hung out with him during our relationship without me causing problems. But this upset me because it felt like she was avoiding a serious conversation and not caring for me by saying it like that. When we finally called, she was crying, saying I was too hard on her, and I could hear her friend in the background. I asked her if we could talk without her friend listening, which she did, but she became dismissive, suggesting things like deleting her Instagram, which wasn't even what I was upset about. The conversation was going nowhere, so I ended the call. Later, I saw that she posted a few days before something on Reddit asking for advice about her being jealous because I had bookmarked a picture of a girl on Instagram. We had already discussed it, and I said I added this girl's picture because I liked the caption. But when I saw the Reddit post, it was way more hurtful for her to see that I did that. So I sent her a text saying, "Maybe if you talked to me more about this, we wouldn't be in this situation." She never answered. An hour later, she called me, sounding erratic and possibly drunk. Throughout our 10-minute call, she wouldn't give me a straight answer when I asked if I was on speaker with her friend listening. She kept making weird comments like, "So you hate me," with laughter in the background. I was pouring my heart out, asking for effort, and she just treated it like a joke. I got angry, said that I needed her to take that seriously, and then I heard her friend laughing in the background. I immediately hung up. Then I texted her friend, saying I hoped they enjoyed the game they were playing and made it clear that she knew nothing about our relationship, calling their behavior a huge disrespect. I also messaged my girlfriend, telling her I felt she was being influenced by her friend and that it made me question if I could trust her anymore. After that, I didn't send any more messages. Instead, I reached out to my own friends for advice. They were all shocked by what was happening. Meanwhile, I started getting calls from both my girlfriend and her friend. Her friend was texting me all night, accusing me of not caring, saying I was immature, claiming she was trying to be mature, and expressing disappointment in me, saying my girlfriend deserved better. My girlfriend only said that she would hurt herself if I didn't answer her calls. I feel lost and don't know what to do. I still haven't spoken to either of them. My girlfriend hasn't sent any other messages since then, but she's removed all our photos from her social media. I feel betrayed. I've given everything to this relationship, always being there to listen, giving her massages, cooking for her. I was good in bed, I invited her to trips and hotels, and even accompanied her to all her appointments for paperwork. She's American living in France, but she speaks French quite well. I've always been supportive, but I'm tired of feeling disrespected. I feel like I've lost the person I love, and it seems like her friend has manipulated her against me. I feel manipulated too, because I was really thinking my girlfriend's friend was on a good path, and I was encouraging this relationship now because my girlfriend was saying that it was healthy. Any advice on what to do? Is there any chance for us? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Honestly, both of you sound very immature. The arguments that you are having are trivial in the grand scheme of life. Call it quits. It's only been 8 months. Comment 2. Threatening to self-harm to get someone to do something for you is a level of toxicity and manipulation beyond most. Now, for the update. 2 days after my last post, I got a message from a friend of mine who mentioned seeing my girlfriend out at a local bar with the same crew from Paris. Like, I didn't want to know anything about them. But of course, I asked for details. This friend sent me a picture of my girlfriend laughing and dancing, clearly having a great time. Meanwhile, I was here staring at her smiling face, feeling like an idiot for being so worried about her. I texted her asking if we could talk, but she left me on read for hours, which wasn't unusual for her. Later that evening, I saw she had posted several photos on social media, tagged with her friend and 2 guys, one of whom I recognized from her past. Honestly, it was just the last straw for me. The next day was my birthday. I had planned a small get-together with some close friends, hoping she would join. I texted her the details and she replied that she had other plans. It felt so dismissive, like, come on, it's my birthday. During my birthday gathering, my friends noticed I was super distracted and kept asking about her, which just added to my frustration. I didn't want to talk about her. After everyone left, I went through her social media and saw more posts from her night out, including videos of her being overly flirtatious. I know we weren't in the best place, but come on, this was just too much. I felt the need to do something, so I reached out to her friend, who was also tagged in the photos. I needed some insight into what was going on, but the friend completely downplayed the situation, insisting my girlfriend was just having fun. Like, yeah, I can see that. I decided to check her location on social media and saw she was at a party at this house I recognized, belonging to one of her friends from that drama-filled group. I felt like I had to show up at the party uninvited, thinking it might keep her from making even worse choices. When I got there, the atmosphere was lively, with loud music and people scattered around. I spotted her immediately, dancing closely with the guy she had kissed before we started dating. My heart sank. I approached her, and she seemed surprised but not entirely pleased to see me. I calmly asked her to step outside for a moment, wanting to discuss our relationship away from the distractions. She rolled her eyes and reluctantly followed me outside, but her attitude was just, ugh. Once outside, I confronted her about the photos and her behavior, which she brushed off as harmless fun. I pointed out that it was disrespectful to me, considering our recent conversations, but she insisted I was overreacting. Frustrated, I told her that if she wanted to act single, maybe we shouldn't be together. At that moment, she smirked and said maybe I should just move on, leaving me speechless. I took a deep breath and sent a message to her ex, the guy she kissed previously, warning him to stay away from her. I mentioned how she was still with me and that it would be best if they didn't interact. The ex responded, confused, and asked if they were still dating. I returned home and deleted every photo of her from my social media, wanting to take control back over my life. A few days later, I received a call from her where she was furious about the message I sent. I calmly explained that her actions had consequences and that I didn't appreciate being disrespected. She accused me of trying to control her, which I firmly denied. We ended the call with her threatening to cut ties if I didn't drop the issue. The next day, I got a message from her friend, who expressed disappointment in my actions. I replied, stating I was merely looking out for her friend's well-being. I decided to focus on my own life, starting with this new project that had been on the back burner for way too long. The following week, I got invited to a mutual friend's wedding, where I knew she would be attending. I went to the wedding, determined to stay composed. During the reception, I saw her in this beautiful dress, chatting with the same guy from the party. Instead of confronting her, I decided to enjoy the evening with my friends and let her do whatever she wanted. As the night went on, I caught her glaring at me from across the dance floor, which was just so childish. At the end of the night, I walked over to her and said I hoped she had fun, leaving her speechless. I've been going through the motions lately, just trying to get my life back together after everything. Seeing her at that wedding actually made me realize how much I've been holding on to something that was never really there. It felt good to not be affected by her actions like I used to be. I mean, yeah, I still got that gut punch seeing her with him, but I didn't let it ruin my night. I spent the evening with friends, laughing and dancing. I think I'm finally on the right track to moving on, and I just want to thank you all for the support. I'm looking forward to focusing on me and enjoying life. Take care, everyone. Edit. The guy my girlfriend was with at the wedding was just a friend. She was upset that I sent a warning to her ex about them. I didn't want to make a big deal about it, so I just let it go. I feel like I'm in a much better place now. Thank you for the support. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.